The Health and Human Services Committee held a public hearing today for a bill that would provide health care for Maine immigrants. Advocates gathered before the hearing to push lawmakers to approve the bill, but those against it say Maine can't afford it. Kadichi Lawrence has more.
The All Means All Coalition is speaking in support of a bill that would include health care coverage to immigrants in Maine. Besides a moral and basic human rights, they say they are an essential part of the economy.
Because we strongly believe that health care is a human right and immigration status has nothing to do with it.
Laura Valencia Orozco is the Director of Behavioral Health at the Maine Mobile Health Program. She says she sees patients who wait until the last minute to receive care, largely because they don't have the funds.
Our patients are farm workers and seafood processors across the state of Maine. We serve patients that work in like the lobster industry, patients that work in wheat, broccoli.
All of which, she says, helps the state and the economy.
During the pandemic, we often called them heroes. We often talked about how we needed people to continue to show up working.
Alex Carter says their contributions are an important part of the conversations, which we don't mention enough.
Immigrants pay taxes. You know, we forget that they are working and paying into a system that they actually are excluded from.
Speaker of the House Rachel Talbot Ross presented the bill at the public hearing and says a healthier workforce translates to a healthier economy.
Lack of access to basic health care to treat and prevent underlying health conditions made our low-income communities of color, many of whom were immigrants, in frontline public-facing jobs, more vulnerable to the virus and less likely to seek treatment.
While there were a few against it, an overwhelming crowd filled the room in support of the bill.
Our hope is that the legislators will do the right thing, that they will invest in the health care and the future of our state and cover this relatively small and very marginalized group of people.
Kadichi Lawrence, WABI TV5 News, Augusta.
Those against the bill say the hearing comes as Portland city officials say they're converting the expo into an emergency asylum seeker shelter. According to the Portland Press-Herald, the bill is facing opposition from Republicans who say another Maine Care expansion for non-citizen medical care with state funds is an obligation that isn't responsible. They say the state can't take on the proposal's $7 million price tag.